Hello everyone, today I'm going to go through nearly every model I made of Mallory, from oldest to newest. But before we go through all of them, for those who are unaware of who Mallory is, let me give you a bit of character story or whatever. Mallory is a UNC 482 built by the CC Locomotive Shop in Chrisland on August 5th, 2018. She was built to pull the 13 Express, which runs between Greyport and Kingsland Valley. But she also pulls freight trains if needed. Mallory also has two sisters that were built right after her. Their names are Holly and Mackenzie. Now let's talk about her personality for a bit. Mallory is a caring and joyful engine that will get the job done and will help others if needed. But she has a very low tolerance level for stupid bullcrap, and she can sometimes be a bit edgy if someone is going on about something pointless. Right, with that out of the way, let's go talk about the models. First model, my first paper model, Mallory. I first started this model on April 28, 2019, which makes this model 2 years old. The model was made out of sample cards you can get for free at a Home Depot or any warehouse store that has a paint department. Unfortunately, I didn't save or uploaded the rest of the YP pictures, so we just had to stick with these. The original boiler was too skinny and I wasn't really a fan of it. After making the engine, I of course made the tender. A month later. Here's the model complete. It's not really that good, of course. The boiler was too skinny and the tender was a bit too long. Later on, I will rip the tender apart and cut it down to size, which now it looks better. After I made the Lila, which is my 4449OC, I went on to make Mallory a new boiler, which is a bit bigger and a bit better. At the time it was better. I of course still have the model and I don't plan on destroying it, but there's a lot of things that I don't like about it. The side rods and valve gears chunky. The boiler is not really that good, to be honest. In real life, the Sharpie ink I use for the boiler looks a bit mostly on this side, it looks sun faded. Yeah, this model didn't really age that well, but I will later on remake this model and make a better version out of cardstock. But we'll talk about this model at the end of the video. Stay tuned. Right. Now we're done talking about this old model. I don't really have that much to say other than it's old and I replaced it. Now let's go on to something a bit small. This right here is Miniature Erdo Mallory. Miniature Erdo because of her simplified design and their side and she just have a connecting rod, and also she has a coupling and fake rollers and screws. I actually got the idea of making a Miniature Erdo Mallory from someone by the name of Wing Wang, if I pronounce or remember their name correctly. After seeing their epic and cute Miniature Erdo 3D printing models, I got inspired to make Miniature Erdo Mallory. She was really simple to make, and also she and the rest of my models after 2020 were made out of cardstock, the paper that professional paper modelers use, and a paper that is better if you plan on making paper models in the future. She originally had a skinny boiler and also a pointer cow catcher, but I changed those out. Also, after making miniature Earl Mallory, I made a few more miniature Earl models. I actually plan on remaking miniature Earl Mallory since she's kind of shown her age, but for now, I leave this model as is. Next up, Playwright / Trackmaster Mallory. Before we talk about Trackmaster Mallory, I would just like to talk a little bit about this character. He was made by Dakota, which you should go check him out. I made a paper model of one of his OCs, Chase, aka Cole, after I lost a bet, which, not gonna lie, I wish he lost, because wouldn't it be cool if he did a realistic edit of Mallory? But while working on Chase, I started to hate him. The main reason why is because, don't get me wrong, I do like Chase, but the reason why I hated making his paper model is because I was kind of worried that I may perfect him and not the future remade model of Mallory that I was gonna make soon. But that's all behind. He looks decent, Tim, and I kinda perfected Mallory. Right, now let's start talking about Trackmaster Mallory. Before I started work on Trackmaster Mallory, I first drew a plan. My references for Trackmaster Mallory is the only 3 American tender engines that Tomy or Fisher Price Mattel made. After I drew the plan, I started to work on the chassis, and then I worked my way up. At one point of building, when I reached a certain point on building Trackmaster Mallory, I noticed that I actually made her a bit short compared to Thomas. But I just continue on making. After making her, I went on to make the tender, which I also drew a plan for. And that's Trackmaster Mallory. Now, I got nothing else to say about this model, other than a few little things. The base of the tender was based after it's based after Hector's chassis. I just gave Mallory that type of buggy or tender chassis to make her look a bit unique. And the diaphragm and patches on the cab were simply made out of cardstock that was glued together, or stacked and glued together. Also, switch doesn't really work. But what does work is the couplings. If I just get a truck. I didn't get a truck, but I got a brake van or caboose. I don't lie, this makes her look like an official set that Hit would make. But yeah. That's it. That's really it for Wooden Railway Mallory. Now, let's go on to Wooden Railway Mallory. When working on Wooden Railway Mallory, I first started on her body. And then I made her chassis. Her chassis is basically Mordoc's and Arthur's chassis, just flipped. The reason why I went with this because I want to incorporate Mallory's rear cab steps and also make her a bit more unique. You got games on your phone? I then later of course made the tender, which is 3-axle, to emphasize that she's a big engine. As making of this video, an hour ago, I actually repainted the model with Sharpie ink because it was turning a bit sun faded in some areas, most notably in the cab. and also because I'll be taking her to Mexico as well as miniature Christanic tomorrow. More on that at the end of the video. Oh yeah, and Mallory does have little loops on her tender in the back of her just in case I want to add any magnets. I originally thought of rolling up a few foil balls and gluing them in the little socket, like what most people do for scratch build wooden webbing models. But I actually want the ability to connect these together with magnets. So I'm gonna just look for some magnet balls that will fit in here, that way I can just hot glue them in. Also, the front truck is actually a bit rotatable. Right, we're done with Wooden Railway Mallory. And now, let's go back to erdo. I got the inspiration to make a normal size erdo Mallory after seeing Tesla's 22 3D models of erdo Alfred, Puffa, and a few other engines. After seeing those, I was like, hey, I should make a normal size erdo Mallory. Besides, why not? Erdo made miniature and normal size models of most characters. So, why not? Of course, like the other models, I drew up a plan. Originally, I planned on making Mallory have removable tender since she's an American engine and she will be long. But I then decided on just going with the erdo style of tender engines, making the tender permanently attached to the engine. Which, I'm kind of glad I went with that style, because it makes her really more in style with erdo. I first started with the chassis, and then worked my way up. Unlike the other models, I can just work on the tender on the same day, since it's a part of the engine. And that's erdo Mallory. Also, she has the modern style, type style of erdo coupling, which kind of works if I just get my erdo Thomas. Right, so that's erdo Mallory. Now on to the last model. This right here is the new Mallory model. As you can see, she looks far superior than the old one. For one, the side rods look far better. They don't look chunky and look like they're gonna break anytime soon. Not only that, if I could just decouple the tender, they're quartered. Yes, they're not quartered 90 degrees like on a real locomotive, but they're quartered nonetheless. Also, the cab interior looks far better than the old model, which does have a cab interior, but you can barely see and it doesn't really look that good. Not only that, the cab interior on this Mallory looks a bit more accurate than the Roblox model. Yeah, right here is a little GPS. All CC engines have this. And a little device right here to check on the electrified coaches. Not only that, there's a bigger space between the engine and the tender than on the old model. But the old model can somewhat still articulate. Also, for the face, I got some inspiration from Dakota's OCs, because the faces on Dakota's, the faces Dakota draws are way better than the ones I draw. No joke, I actually mean that. And that's, my friends, is all the paper models of Mallory I made so far. That's right, these are not the only Mallory models I'll be making. Soon I'll be making a take and play, maybe a minis. And in the future, no joke, in the future, I'm gonna make a Gauge 1 model of Mallory. Just you wait. Also, this video will be uploaded on August 5th, which is Mallory's build date. But on August 5th, I won't be at home. I'll be visiting Mexico. The reason... Now you might be asking, how are you recording on the model so far? Well, simple. All the footage recorded was recorded previously or on August 2nd, the making of this video. But yeah, I won't be able to celebrate Mallory's birthday, but y'all can. If you want, feel free to make a drawing, edit, or a physical model of Mallory, if y'all want, of course, for her birthday, or built day. If you're gonna make a Roblox model, please ask for permission. I don't really trust anyone. I don't really trust a few people on Roblox with my OC. Oh yeah, about my about my trip to Mexico. I'm gonna bring along Woodaway Mallory with me. So, Mallory's gonna go to Mexico on her birthday. Well, that's it for me. Anyway, thank you all for watching, and happy birthday, old girl.